Hey everybody. Okay, so I had to make a quick video about this one because it's one of those things where when you're trying to save money because you need a tool that just functions, right? Like the functionality of tools across the board is the same, right? Like a table saw is a table saw. Now, granted, if you pay a little bit more money, you can get a more accurate table saw, but if you take the time to set up one that would be cheaper and less accurate, you can make it accurate. Well, the flip side to that is that the cheaper type stuff typically is made with a lower ratio of compatibility, so for other stuff to be used on it, it's kind of isolated. But on that same note, manufacturing integrity is usually pretty low too. So, cheap is cheap, right? However, you can make things work. In this case, I bought a Harbor Freight Chicago Electric table saw, a job site saw as it's referred to as. So it's the half horse. It's got the 10.5-inch blade on it. You've seen it in my videos. I've been making stuff with it. But, it's cheap, right? Like, it literally was cheap. I bought it with a discount, 25% off discount, coupon because I signed up for it and all this other stuff, right? But, it's not even made in America. It's called Chicago Electric, but trust me, I looked into it. It's actually made in, overseas country. We'll just say that. As a result of that, some of the stuff that was put into this when it was made was not very good. And what I just literally had to repair, and it wasn't until after I was done with it, mainly because I was frustrated. I didn't bust out the camera to show the repair process, mainly because I would have had to have edited out me throwing things, because I'm not going to lie to you, it frustrates me having to fix things like this, because I shouldn't have to. I should not have to do repairs on something that should have been designed better. And I will show you what I'm talking about. So this right here, this screw that runs through this T-bar, threaded T-bar, and into this plate is my adjustment mechanism. I got the saw basically on its, I guess you could consider it its front, if you would, because that's the top. So I have it sitting basically on its side like that, right? So there's the front, that's the top, and here's where the hand crank is to adjust it. And so this armature runs down through here. There's a pivot point there, and it comes down to this plate. Well, right here used to have an actual threaded nut on there. That's what held it in place. It was not a nylon locking thread nut. No. They didn't use Loctite on it. No. They just put a regular nut on there. And guess what? After using this thing repetitively for a year, the nut fell off into my sawdust pile. And as a result, I couldn't find it when I went to go adjust my saw, and my thing just wouldn't move. It just, my blade wouldn't move up or down. It would just kept spinning. So I had to get underneath here. So I had to, once again, make it better. What I did is I put a nut on there, if you can see that. So I put a nut back on there, but it's actually drilled out. So the nut itself is not threaded into the armature here. Okay? I actually just drilled it out so that it would fit over the existing threads here, because these are reverse threads. They put reverse threads on this side so that, I guess for whatever reason, when you crank it up, the torsion on it's more, so they figure, well, if we put reverse threads, it won't back itself off. But it still did. So I couldn't find the nut. The threads were all chewed up. These threads up here are good because you can see this is a much larger diameter than it is down here. So what I did instead was I drilled that nut out right there. I drilled a hole through it. There it goes. I drilled a hole through it, all the way through the nut and the shaft, and then I put a pin in there, right? It's clothes hanger, so it's a soft steel pin, just like a cotter pin, and then I wrapped it back around in an S shape, so both directions are wrapping back around themselves, but the pin runs all the way through the shaft, and I put a washer on here as a friction buffer between the plate and this nut that I fused into place. This will not come off. This will not come off unless I wanted to, right? They could have put a keeper on here instead of this stupid threaded thing. They should have just put a collar with a keeper on here and a washer, right? Because that would have held it, and then it still would have had something to push against, and wouldn't unthread itself like it did. But now it is fixed. Now it will last me as long as I need it to, and if I ever have to take it apart, all I have to do is just straighten out one side of that pin and pull the pin through the hole, drop what used to be a nut off, basically at this point it's a collar, and all done. Anyway, so saying all of that, just understand that, if you try to save money on tools, because let's face it, they're expensive, expect to be able to do your own repairs, right? Like this thing had a 1-year warranty and I've had it for over a year, and they do that on purpose. But even then, it's one of those things where if you understand how to just fix things on the fly, and this one I had to think a little bit about it. I had to take a break and think about how I wanted to really truly fix it, knowing I didn't have a reverse threaded nut. I mean, that's typically gas as reverse thread. Every now and again, yeah, it's a machine setup, so I have dealt with some machines that had reverse threaded nuts on there and stuff like that for, because of actuators and whatnot. But having said that, know that you're going to have to get your hands dirty. Know that you're going to have to do modifications. Like when I bought this saw, I started using it right off the bat and it sucked. I ended up literally taking a day to level off my deck, make sure that my blade was actually perpendicular at a 90 to the deck, and that my 90 and my 45 set stops were right. And then even then, I still have to check them when I go to do stuff. Like if I'm doing tall cuts like I'm doing today, I'm doing some full blade rips, I will make sure that my blade is at a 90 before I even go to it. I double check it every time because I have to. Even my fence, the fence is okay, but once I know what my distance is, I don't use the fence marker. I will actually put my carpenter square up there, make sure my fence is the distance I want mathematically, and then I'll rotate it and set it up against the bridge of the saw here, and then butt my fence tight against it to make sure that it's square to the blade and the table and everything else. It's just something I do and I don't mind. But repairs like this, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Like, I shouldn't have had to have done this, but I did. If you really want to know what I did, hit me up. I know that there's, only a handful of people that would be really interested in this, but, if it's one of those things where you have a job site saw like this, regardless of who makes it, and it's got a Rinky setup like this, and you want to know how I fixed it, let me know. You hit me up in the comment section. I'll dedicate a video to actually reverse engineering, showing you how I did the repair. It's not too terribly complicated. It's just very technical, because when you're drilling through steel like this, it's a soft steel, but I had to drill the hole through the nut first to clean the threads out, and then tap the sides, so on and so forth. And so you have to go nice and slow so you don't break anything. If I broke this drill bit off inside there, yeah, it would have been locked up, but I never would have gotten it off. I would have had to break it apart and all this other stuff. So, anyways, if you're interested, hit me up. I thank you for watching my little mini rant. This is probably only a 5-minute video. Sometimes those are the best in regards to consumer beware. Once again, I'm putting it out there. It's a Chicago Electric job site table saw by Harbor Freight. And you best believe when they hit me up with an email again on, hey, what did you rate our table saw? I'm going to rate it, because I've had it for over a year now, and I'm going to say, look, this is what happened within a year. I fixed it. I knew I was going to fix it. Even the belt sander I bought, they wanted to know if I wanted more than a year warranty, and I said no, because I know exactly what's going to happen. Either the belt's going to go out, the inside drive belt's going to go out, or the brushes are going to go out. Those I can fix. Thus far, the only thing that happened was my trigger stopped working, because I got so much fine sawdust buildup in there, it wasn't making contact anymore. I took it apart, cleaned it up, re-greased it, put it back together, works just fine. So, just know that when you buy cheap, you end up having to do a lot of your own work, but if you're understanding of that, and you know how to do that, then run with it. I do this because I know how. I don't like doing it. I really wish they spent more time focusing on making things just as good regardless of price point. I don't care if they want to scrimp on material, but please, I'm putting it out there, please, take the time to engineer something so that it works good. It doesn't have to be great. It doesn't have to be send it to the moon grade NASA space quality. No, but just make something good. Don't package crap and then sell it, to the consumer as if it's going to be something that you can use. I mean, this is considered a job site table saw. Imagine if I was using this as a contractor on a regular basis, right? Even if I was a sub if I was using this for doing trim work and stuff, I'm out in the field and this thing happens to me and I'm halfway through my job. Well, guess what? Now I'm not making money because I got to figure out how to get my table saw fixed because that stupid little nut they put on there backed itself off anyways instead of doing it the way they should have in the first place. So, I end my rant. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next one.